Kenyan Ministry of Information and Communications has unveiled a national ICT Master Plan. The plan is, and the aim around it is centered around getting the economy running on an ICT backbone and turning Kenya into Africa's ICT hub by 2017. Joining us now for more detail on this is Paul Kukubo. He's CEO of Kenya ICT Board. Thanks so much, Paul, for joining us this morning. Let's get straight into what exactly we're looking at when we talk about an ICT Master Plan.
The ICT Master Plan is our blueprint for the sector. It sort of brings everyone together, the private sector, the public sector, development partners, with respect to our priorities. It recognizes what we've done in the past and what we're doing at the moment, and sets a medium-term plan for 2017 that has everyone focused on getting us to where we need to get to.
Okay, let's take a look at where exactly you're planning to get to. How realistic targets have been set? How achievable are these targets that have been set? Because there's often, this ambition that's set out at the beginning, but getting and hitting those targets has proven to be a challenge in the past.
No, I think it's always nice to set ambitious targets. For example, we've got three strategic goals. One is that every citizen will get connected. That's a public value target that says the public sector must be a value driver for the citizens in terms of connectivity, in terms of services to citizens. We're already on the way to that with a lot of the programs that the government is undertaking. The second target has to do with ICT businesses. We've reframed this to not be specific about the industries themselves, but rather to say that we need 500 new tier 1 companies. We need a lot of new innovation. We want 20 globally facing government co-facilitated innovations, things like M-Pesa and Ushahidi type innovations. And then the third pillar has to do with the use of ICT as a productivity driver. We feel that most sectors in this country could do with more productivity, and I think ICT can play a major role. And we're looking at a sort of 50% plus impact on some key sectors: agriculture, health, education.
The cost is often the problem, Paul, because you've got, for example, the cost of the internet is still very expensive, and it's because of this that large parts of the country still remain unconnected. So how do we look at dealing with that cost issue as a hurdle?
I think if you look at Kenya's costs relative to other countries in Africa with respect to connectivity, we're sitting very, very well. Our costs are not high. I mean, the costs are considered quite reasonable over the mobile internet, to the extent that we've got a substantial penetration. We've got about 17 odd million Kenyans who can access the internet out of a population of 40 million odd, which is good. So we feel that the issue isn't really about cost. The issue is about creating greater connectivity to outlying areas, and there are programs built into this master plan to do this.
Talk us through the kind of stakeholders and key players that need to be involved in this entire process.
Yeah, what we need to do is, first of all, the government needs to refresh its approach towards how we procure internet, and how we procure ICT services for our own use. For example, we see greater use of PPPs to deliver a lot of the public sector IT programs, where the government makes money on a certain service or on a certain agency, and it needs to procure an IT system. This can be done through a public-private partnership. I think the public-private partnership law is now in place, and so this should be quite exciting. A lot of work with private sector to enable us to tap into their talent. Public sector isn't always a very good talent retainer, especially in IT that is very fast changing. We've worked a lot with development partners. The board itself is a major beneficiary of World Bank support in some of the programs that we've been able to undertake. A lot of work with education. We've signed a partnership as a government with IBM for setting up the first research lab in Africa, which is now underway and about to be launched. So there's a lot of different initiatives and a lot of programs. Working with universities to change curriculum, because if we don't have the talent, we're going to have a problem. But what has happened is that most of the universities have come on board and said, look, we need to get new programs, we need to reorient how we teach. Working with Ministry of Education with support to how we deliver education and what kind of students we turn out at a basic level, at a medium level, and at a tertiary level.
Of course, these are all the kind of collaborative synergies that we need to see taking place in order to leverage off it effectively to see this master plan come to the fore by the set target date.